And I'm going to have a conversation with Mark Wahlberg. He stars in the new movie The Gambler, portraying a college professor whose addiction sends his life spiraling, I'm going to get to him, out of control. Take a look.
Do you know who does write at the highest level? When most of us, and even I, write barely adequately. Do you know who it is? Don't give me that look. No. It isn't the one who talks the most. You're an NPR host tops, okay? The literary person in here is Miss Phillips. She is better at writing than our U.S. President amateur number 2 is at tennis. Yet she chooses to hide or just blend in with the rest of you.
Mark Wahlberg, good morning. Good to see you.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. My understanding is you agreed to do this movie just on the script alone. You didn't even know who the director was yet.
No, but, you know, Bill Monahan, who wrote The Departed,
right,
wrote the screenplay. And, you know, it's very rare that you get to work with a talent like that. And he has the best dialogue, the best characters. And, you know, also I was a huge fan of the original. James Toback is a friend who wrote the original based on his life. Jimmy Caan is a dear friend and a mentor. So it was pretty much a no-brainer.
They could have called you and said, Mark, Matt Lauer's going to direct this movie, and you would have been toast.
No, because I was producing, so I'd have been able to control you a little bit.
You have control. You mentioned the original was 1974. Yep. James Caan was the star of that. Any trepidation at all about stepping into a role that someone else has done so successfully?
No, because I felt like Bill did such a great job of making it our own. I felt confident that we could do something different. But the real thing that was nerve-wracking was being believable as a literary professor. Thankfully, I was shooting Transformers, so I was in Michigan. We were hooking up with various professors from different universities to come read the script aloud with us. Sat in on many lectures at UCLA, USC. You know, really just had to do my homework, but I had 6 good months of preparation to be believable as a professor.
This guy he's a guy whose life is spiraling out of control. In the movie, gambling is the vehicle that helps him spiral out of control. But you get the sense that he would spiral out of control whether it was for gambling or not.
Yeah, gambling just happened to be the thing that he stumbled upon. In the original, for Jimmy Caan's character, it was all about the thrill, being in that moment. He only felt like he was alive when the dice were rolling or when he was waiting for that card to be flipped. And it was the opposite for my character. He comes from a very wealthy family. His grandfather was the 17th richest man in California, and he basically wanted to strip himself of all
that. He shuns all that.
Yes, and he wants to start at nothing, and he's dealing with some very dangerous people, and he doesn't really have much desire to live until he meets and is inspired by the student played by Brie Larson, who is a brilliant writer, has talent and gift that he never had and aspired to, and that gives him a desire and motivates him to want to come out of this thing.
You mentioned Brie Larson. Good cast in this. You got John Goodman in it, too. He was here not long ago, so the reason he wanted to make the movie was because you were in it. I am always marveling at his evolution from the days of sitcoms on television to the kind of work he does in movies now.
He's fantastic. He is definitely one of the great character actors working today. George Kennedy basically came out of retirement to play my grandfather. Jessica Lange, you know, again, and I really attribute that to the writing, as well as, you know, people's desire to work with Rupert Wyatt, who's our director. But Bill Monahan writes these really juicy, rich characters that people want to, you know, play.
Let's switch subjects here a little bit. You've been in the news recently for a subject that has nothing to do with making movies. You have filed paperwork with the Massachusetts Parole Board to get a pardon for felony convictions from when you were a young man. I think it's pretty well known that you didn't grow up in a Norman Rockwell existence.
No, not at all.
All right, outside Boston. And you were arrested and spent time in jail for some violent assaults. Why do you want the pardon? Because there seems to be some discrepancy there.
Yeah, and of course everybody has an opinion, is entitled to it, whether I'm deserving of it or not. But, you know, from the day I woke up in prison, realized the mistakes that I had made and the pain that I had caused people, I committed to turning my life around, which was not an easy thing to do. Because A, I still had to go to prison, so not being in the gang anymore left me alone. And then, you know, I was basically a follower instead of a leader, and I needed to change my ways. And going back into the community and still living in that neighborhood and having to go to the train station every day and pass those guys was a tough thing to do. But I was committed to turning my life around, and I've been committed to turning other kids' lives around and helping them, you know, avoid the mistakes that I've made.
So it's a continuing evolution to be a better person. You're a father also.
This has been 27 years in the works, and if I'm not granted the pardon, it will not change my commitment to working in the community.
Have you read some of the speculation as to other reasons why you want the pardon, that you want to become a reservist in the Los Angeles Police
which
Department?
I never applied for.
That you're looking for a liquor license for restaurants and you can't get it with a felony on your record?
Yes, we already have 2 restaurants open. yes. But, you know, and there will be many more reasons. And, you know, people have said because of my celebrity, my success, that I'm basically waving that magic wand. But it's not about that. It's never been about that. I've been committed to turning my life around and becoming a productive person in the community.
And by the way, in image-conscious Hollywood, it's probably the last thing a PR person would want you to do.
Yes, and
to dig up the past.
Especially in around the opening of a film. But, you know, I've always been completely open about my past. You know, we've probably had this conversation many times. I've been talking about it for over 25 years since I've been in the public eye. I'm not proud of what I've done. I'm just committed to making sure that I pay for my mistakes and I avoid kids, hopefully help kids avoid making those mistakes.
I was thinking about you this morning because we covered this Sony hack story in the news, and you're one of the producers of Entourage, which is a show that kind of exposed the underbelly of Hollywood a little bit. This Sony hack story is doing the same thing in a different way. What's your take on what's going on here?
It's pretty crazy what's going on. I don't really know all the details, so it would be unfair for me to really comment. But you know, only what I've read in the paper. It's pretty crazy.
It's a strange world. Nothing is secure. Everything we think we can say on emails or in text messages gets out there sooner or later.
I would prefer to. I'm a pretty old-fashioned guy, so I prefer to talk to somebody directly and express how I feel. And
whatever happened to the days of handwritten notes? We could get back to those.
Yeah.
Mark, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
As always, it's a pleasure. And The Gambler opens Christmas Day.